Hello friends, and welcome back to another video, and a special big hello if you are new. Today I thought I would share with you the books that I read in October. I read 4 books last month, and I really debated on if I should sit down and film this video and talk about the books that I read in October, because 4 books just didn't seem like enough to talk about. And I think within bookish communities, whether you are on like Instagram or BookTube or YouTube Book Talk or YouTube or wherever you choose to get your like updates on reading and books, sometimes it can feel really intimidating because there are people that read like 200 books a year, that read like 20 some books a month, and I feel like I get a lot of opportunities to read, even like through the workday, than most people, and I still only read 4 books this month. And I don't know, I just think sometimes we get so hyper fixated on that number. But the reality is I read 4 books. That's more than like a lot of people I know in real life have read like this whole year. And 4 books it's still something to celebrate. And I read 4 really good books, and I really want to talk about them. So I'm going to, even if it seems inconsequential in the grand scheme of other like book creators. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so I read 2 physical books and 2 ebooks. I'm going to start with physical books first, as always. So the first physical book that I read was The 7-Year Slip by Poston. It tells the story of Clementine, which if you have seen any of my videos, you know that my dog's name is Clementine, so that's a very special name to my heart. But she has just inherited her late aunt's apartment, and when she was younger and staying with her aunt had told her that this apartment was magical. And of course, as a young child, she believed her, but as she's kind of grown up in life, she no longer really believes that. So she's inherited her aunt's apartment. She's staying in it and kind of moving into the apartment. And she meets a man who is 7 years in the past and she's 7 years in the future. So kind of over the span of like late summer into fall, they kind of keep bumping into each other. And again, you have that 7-year like time distance between the two of them. Everything about this book seemed like it would be perfect to me, and I think that maybe I just went into it with too high of expectations because I didn't really like it. I think I ended up giving it 2 stars, and I hate that. But one, I really don't like when books have insta-love in them at all. It was like their first like night or 2 together, and they were like, oh, I love you. And it's just like, no, that's not, I don't know. That bothers me. I found the character of Clementine to be really contradictory, and I really hate that when it feels like characters just really change just for the sake of the plot, and it doesn't make sense to the character. Like, for example, at the beginning of the book, Clementine is going on and on about how she loves her job and like kind of where she wants to go in her career, and how she was so lucky to have kind of fallen into this job that she absolutely loves. And then by the end of the book, it was like, I don't like this job. I've never enjoyed it. I want to do something else with my life. I've never followed my dreams. And again, it was like, my aunt's apartment is this wonderful, amazing place, and I love it so much. And then it was like, I don't really like this apartment. I don't want to live here. I don't know. I just found that she, like, everything that from the beginning of the book to the end of the book was just a complete flip-flop, and it just didn't make sense to me. I don't know. I didn't really like it. And it makes me very hesitant to read other Poston books because, again, with the other books that she has out right now, they sound amazing, as did this one, but the execution of the plot just isn't necessarily for me. And please note that I am completely in the minority here. So many people love her books and love her writing. I have a few friends on Goodreads who like I highly respect their opinions when it comes to books, and they both gave this like a 4 or a 5 star. So I don't know, maybe I just read it at the wrong time, but I didn't love this one as much as I wanted to. I borrowed it from a friend and she tabbed it, so that was a really amazing experience to kind of see like what stood out to her. There was something so special about reading tabbed books from friends, but it just wasn't for me at the end of the day. The next physical book that I read was Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I love Sally Rooney. She is definitely an author that you either love her and her writing or you don't. Like, I don't think that there is any between. She is not someone that you can be kind of like lukewarm about at all. So this tells the story of two brothers, and it's been a hot minute, so let me like kind of double check on names and stuff here. Their names are Peter and Ivan. Peter is the older brother. He is in his 30s. He's very successful, and he appears to kind of have his life together really well. So he is struggling to maintain two relationships. So he has his girlfriend who is a much younger college student, and then he's kind of rekindled a little bit of a romance with his like first love, like through when he was in college and things like that. His younger brother Ivan is in his early 20s. He is a competitive chess player. He is seen kind of the opposite of Peter. So where Peter is successful and kind of has it all together and has like a great group of friends, Ivan is seen as like socially awkward, very much a loner. And he is starting a relationship with an older woman who is getting divorced named Margaret. And both Peter and Ivan have just lost their dad. So it's just a very fascinating character study. So you have the boys and their romantic relationships with the women in their lives, but you also have the boys and their relationship to one another. You have the boys and how they are grieving their father. You have the boys and their relationships with themselves. It is so good. I love this book so much. There were so many points in it where I was reading it and I just had to set it down and walk away because it was just twisting my heart. Like, it hurt so much. It's so good. I highly recommend it. If you've never read anything by Sally Rooney, I don't necessarily feel like this would be the best one to start with. I don't know really how, I don't have like a strong reasoning for that. I just don't know that it would be the best one. I feel like one of her earlier works would be. If you like hated normal people or conversations with friends and you think, I might like this one a little bit better because it focuses on the relationship of the brothers and not necessarily like friendships or romantic relationships, I still don't know that you would necessarily like it, because I think so many of Sally Rooney's like plot lines within all of her novels are very interchangeable, and the characters are, they struggle to communicate with each other. They struggle to kind of, they're very gritty and very morally gray and sometimes very unlikable, and that definitely is still within this one as well. But if you've read anything by Sally Rooney and you've adored it, then you will definitely read this, and I highly recommend it. It is so good. It will definitely be on my top books of the year for sure. Moving on to ebooks, I read two. Like I said, the first book was The Parlor Game by Ashtyn Newbold. If you are not new to any of my videos, then you know that I have talked about Ashtyn Newbold in quite a few other videos. I adore her writing. She is my contemporary like Regency romance writer for sure. I want to be best friends with her, honestly. I think she and I would be really good friends. But The Parlor Game is part of the Noble Charades series, and it tells the story of Anne, I believe is her name. It's been a hot minute because this was the first book I think I finished in October. And you've seen Anne go through the first two books, and she is always this quiet companion, just doing the right thing, supporting those around her while she is waiting on her first love of Miles to come back and marry her. So she is starting to run low on money, but she needs to be in London for Miles when he comes home. So she is invited to stay at this lady's house, but she has to participate in a series of games. And these games are crazy and quirky. They have midnight parlor games that they have to attend to, and then they have like games throughout the day. And Anne is just a very like shy character who does not like to be the center of attention, so these games are not fun for her. And also Miles' younger brother is there, and he is known to just be this rake and to have mishandled money, and he proposes to Anne that they form an attachment, because that's kind of the point of the parlor games, is to kind of match up single couples, to kind of get everyone off their back. It was so good, and I feel like I did a crummy job describing it, because when you have like interconnected standalones, most of the time it doesn't really matter what order you read them in, but I really think you need to read the previous 2 books before you get to Anne's story, because you want so badly for her to have her happy ending. And seeing her and what she does for everyone around her, and then getting her to her story and her happy ending, is really wonderful. And there's this like little like twists and turns within the novel that were just executed so well and so believable within the plot. It's wonderful writing, and it is so good. It might have been my favorite of all 3 of them. I just really recommend Ashtyn Newbold's writing. And again, I know that I probably didn't do the best describing it, but I really don't want to give anything away, because it was just a really fun book. Like, I was just like giggling and kicking my feet the whole time. It was really, really sweet. The next book and the last book that I read in October was historical fiction, and it was The Last Bookshop in London, or The Last Bookstore in London, something like that. And it was written by Madeline Martin. This tells the story of a young girl and her friend. They are coming up from the country into London right before the start of World War II. She doesn't have a letter of reference, so she has to work in a bookshop, because it's kind of the only place that she has somewhat of an acquaintance to, you know, get the job. And this bookshop is dusty. The owner is kind of your stereotypical like grumpy, lonely old man. And so while she's there and she is kind of cleaning up this bookshop, organizing the books, volunteering to help out in London during the Blitz, she begins to realize like how powerful books are and how they can shine such a light in dark times, give people an escape from reality, and bring communities of people together. It's really beautiful. It is one of those books that if you're a book lover, you're gonna find like a special place for it in your heart, because it is about people who love books. It was also just really interesting to read about the Blitz in London, and to me it was really eye-opening, because you think like we all kind of work like our 9-to-5s or whatever, and then it's like to imagine working a full-time job and then volunteering through the night or through your weekends and your spare hours to work additional volunteer jobs, which is what people did during that time. So like our main character was working in the bookshop, you know, like 9 to 5, and then like 3 or 4 nights a week she was on watch to help during air raids. And I thought that was just really interesting and just a really big like perspective, like, you know, needed perspective for me. But it was really good. I really did enjoy it. It was like a 3.75 or something for me. It wasn't quite 4 stars, but it was still really good. All right, that sums up the books that I read in October. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please stick around for some more. I really appreciate you all letting me babble on about books. It really means the world to me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.